Peace and shalom, Israel. Before we start the lesson, hit the notification button because we upload lessons every week and I don't want you to miss a single one of them. Like, comment, subscribe, and if there's a topic you would like for us to cover, we'll see what we can do. So until next time, cue the music. All praises to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And peace to everyone joining us on this program. This is the Fountain of Israel's Bible Studies program. And as always, it's an honor for me to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. Now, I'm going to do another lesson, and this is a Tanakh only lesson, meaning we will have no New Testament references in this. And by the way, I have nothing against New Testament at all. I just want to do a different type of series of lessons called Tanakh only. So if you are checking us out on YouTube, you could just go to the tab, the new playlist that's called Tanakh only. And in those lessons, they're going to only be Old Testament lessons. That's all there's going to be. Old Testament lessons from the Old Testament. Okay. From the Tanakh, of course, Tanakh and Torah. Today will be no different. This is a Tanakh only lesson. And this is, we'll be talking about sacrifices and offerings unto the Lord. So this lesson is sacrifices and offerings, and we're going to look at some of the sacrifices and offerings that was offered unto the Lord. We're going to take a look at that, and then we're going to look at something else towards the end of this lesson. So without any further ado, we're going to begin in Leviticus chapter 5. Leviticus chapter 5. And when we get to Leviticus chapter 5, I would like to pick it up at verse 14, which reads,
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, And all the meat offering that is baking in the oven, and all that is dressed in the frying pan.
Chapter 5, verse 14. Chapter 5, yeah, it's all right. Chapter 5, verse 14. Go ahead.
Oh, I skipped 2 pages. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, If a soul commit a trespass and sin through ignorance in the holy things of the Lord, then he shall bring for his trespass unto the Lord a ram without blemish out of the flocks, with thy estimation by shekels of silver, after the shekel of the sanctuary for a trespass offering. And he shall make amends for the harm that he hath done in a holy thing, and shall add the fifth part thereto, and give it unto the priest. And the priest shall make an atonement for him with a ram of the trespass offering, and it shall be forgiven him. And if a soul sin and commit any of these things which are forbidden to be done by the commandments of the Lord, though he wist it not, yet is he guilty and shall bear his iniquity. And he shall bring a ram without blemish out of the flock with thy estimation for a trespass offering unto the priest. And the priest shall make an atonement for him concerning his ignorance wherein he erred and wist it not. Okay. It shall be forgiven him.
Okay, so let me look at trespass. Okay, in the Greek it's mahal. In the Hebrew, I'm sorry. In the Hebrew, trespass is mahal, and it's unfaithful or treacherous act against a man or against God. So if you did an unfaithful or treacherous act against your neighbor or against God, because we know you have to love God and love thy neighbor as thyself. So if you committed anything like that, an unfaithful or treacherous act, mahal, in against man or God. Okay, where did you stop? Which verse?
I stopped at 15 verse.
Oh, okay, 16, no problem. Okay, so we're going to go to our next one. Next verse will be in Leviticus, and just go to the next chapter, chapter 6, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Now, we're just talking about trespass offering. We're going to keep looking at that a little bit more. We're going to go to 2 more places to look at this trespass offers, okay? A treacherous act against God, or unfaithful or treacherous act against God or your neighbor. Chapter 6, start at verse 1. Let the Bible speak.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, If a soul sin and commit a trespass against the Lord, and lie unto his neighbor in that which was delivered him to keep, or in fellowship, or in a thing taken away by violence, or hath deceived his neighbor, or have found that which was lost, and lieth concerning it, and swear falsely, and any of all, if in any of all these that a man doeth, sinning therein.
Okay, so he's basically breaking down what a trespass is. Okay, we're talking about a trespass offering, and he's pointing out all the things that would constitute a trespass. Verse 4.
Then it shall be, because he hath sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore that which he took violently away, or the thing which he had deceitfully gotten, or that which was delivered him to keep, or the lost thing which he found.
Okay, so that's like if someone jumped you and took your stuff, that's a trespass. Okay, that's a trespass, because it said took violently. So if someone took it violently, that is a trespass. Okay, or you know, or breaking your house or anything like that, it doesn't belong to you. But like he said, or it says, or 3, or have found that which was lost and lieth concerning it. Like, hey, you know, I dropped my wallet. Did you see it? And if you lie and be like, no, I didn't see it, but you got it in your back pocket, you got it in your purse or something like that. So you're lying about it, yet you got it. It said, or have found that which was lost and lies concerning it, and swear it falsely. No, I never seen it. Okay, that's a trespass. In any of these that a man doeth, sinneth therein. That's a sin. Then it shall be, because he hath sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore that which he took violently away, or the thing which he had deceitfully gotten. I mean, he found it and said, oh, I didn't find it. I didn't see the thing. Or that which he was delivered him to keep, or the lost thing which he had found. And then you read in verse 5, what?
Or all that about which he has sworn falsely, he shall even restore it in the principal,
and
shall add the 5th part more thereto, and give it unto him to whom it
pertaineth. Appertaineth. Who it belongs to.
In the day of his trespass offering.
What else?
And he shall bring his trespass offering unto the Lord, a ram without blemish out of the flock, without estimation, for a trespass offering unto the priest.
And what else?
And the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord, and it shall be forgiven him for anything of all, and that he had done in trespassing therein.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about. He told us exactly what a trespass offering is and what you have to offer to make an atonement. Okay, that's how you atone for it. So you restore it back to the person, and you add a 5th part on top of it, and then restore it back to the person. Okay, then you go to the priest to make an offering to atone for your sins. Okay, but it gave you an idea of what a trespass is. Okay, and a trespass can be against God, or it can be against your neighbor. Okay, so we're going to continue. Let's go to chapter 7 and deal with this trespass offering a little bit more. Chapter 7, and pick it up at verse 1. And let's deal a little bit more with this trespass offering. Let's look at it a little bit more, and we'll move on.
Likewise, this is the law of the trespass offering. It is most holy.
Say on.
In the place where they kill the burnt offering shall they kill the trespass offering, and the blood thereof shall he sprinkle around about upon the altar. And he shall offer of it all the fat thereof, the rump and the fat that covereth in the inwards. And the 2 kidneys and the fat that is on them, and which is by the flanks, and the caul that is above the liver, with the kidneys, it shall he take away. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar for an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Come on.
It is a trespass offering.
This is a trespass offering. Go ahead.
Every male among the priests shall eat thereof. It shall be eaten in the holy place. It is most holy. Okay,
so we're gonna stop. So we're gonna stop that right there. So now I want to get into the sin offering. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and speak to the sin offering, and by doing so, we're gonna go back. Leviticus chapter 4, if you will. Guys, join me in chapter 4, Leviticus. And in chapter 4, we're going to start at verse 1. In chapter 4, we're going to start at verse 1. And when you get there, let the Bible speak, brother.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which ought not to be done, and shall do it against any of them.
Now, I want you to understand, this is a sin through ignorance. I mean, yeah, if someone sinned through ignorance, they didn't know. Because today, a lot of us, we don't know the law. You know, we don't know every little detail of the law. You mean, unless, of course, you study it, obviously. But before you studied it, you didn't know a bunch of laws, you know. So the Lord is saying, just in case, okay, just in case, speaking unto the children of Israel, saying, if a person shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which ought not to be done, and shall do against any of them, what happens in verse 3?
If the priest that is anointed do sin according to the sin of the people, then let him bring for his sin, which he hath sinned, a young bullock without blemish unto the Lord for a sin offering. And he shall bring the bullock unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord, and shall lay his hand upon the bullock's head, and kill the bullock before the Lord.
Yeah.
And the priest that is anointed shall take of the bullock's blood and bring it to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle the blood several times before the Lord, before the veil of the sanctuary. And the priest shall put some of the blood onto the horns of the altar of sweet incense before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of the congregation. And shall pour all the blood of the bullock at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall take off from it all the fat of the bullock for the sin offering, the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the two kidneys and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver. The kidneys shall he take away, as it is taken off from the bullock of the sacrifice of peace offerings, and the priest shall burn them unto the altar of the burnt offering. And the skin of the bullock and all his flesh with his head and with his legs and his inwards and his dung, even the whole bullock shall he carry forth without the cramp unto a clean place, where the ashes are poured out, and burn him in the wood.
Come on.
Where the ashes are poured out shall he burn it. And if the whole congregation of Israel sin through ignorance, and the thing be hid from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done somewhat against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which should not be done, and are guilty. When the sin which they have sinned against it is known, then the congregation shall offer a young bull for the sin, and bring him before the tabernacle of the congregation. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands upon the head of the bullock before the Lord. And the bullock shall be killed before the Lord, and the priest that is anointed shall bring the bullock's blood to the tabernacle of the congregation.
What else?
And the priest shall dip his finger in some of the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord, even before the veil. And he shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar, which is before the Lord, that is in the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall pour out all the blood at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
Read on.
And he shall take all his fat from him and burn it upon the altar. And he shall do it with the bullock as he did it with the bullock for a sin offering. So shall he do with this. The priest shall make an atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven.
And it shall be forgiven them. Read on.
And he shall carry forth the bullock without the cramp, and burn him as the first bullock. It is a sin offering for the congregation.
Okay.
When a ruler hath sinned and done somewhat through ignorance against any of the commandments, the Lord his God, concerning things which should not be done, and is guilty.
Okay.
Or if his sin wherein he hath sinned and come to his knowledge, he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goats, a male without blemish.
Okay, so once a person realizes, you have a ruler or something, once he realizes, oh man, I messed up. He didn't know before, but when it comes to his knowledge, he's like, oh, wait a minute, I sinned against God. These are the things that he should do to have his sins forgiven. Okay, and he said he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goats, a male without blemish. So he's going to bring a male goat, okay, kid, goat, young goat. Bring a kid of the goats, a male without blemish, okay? So this has to be one of the best of your flock, okay? That's the only way it will work. And verse 24 says what?
And he shall lay his hand upon the head of the goat and kill it in the place where they kill the burnt offering before the Lord. It is a sin offering.
Come on.
And the priest shall take of the blood and the sin offering with his finger, and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out his blood at the bottom of the altar of burnt offering.
What else?
And he shall burn all his fat upon the altar, as the fat of the sacrifice of peace offerings. And the priest shall make an atonement for him as concerning his sin, and it shall be forgiven him. And if any one of the common people sin through ignorance, while he doeth somewhat against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which ought not to be done, and be guilty.
What else?
Or if his sin which he hath sinned come to his knowledge, then he shall bring the offering, a kid of goats, a female without blemish, for his sin which he hath sinned.
Okay.
And he shall lay his hand upon the head of the sin offering, and slay the sin offering in the place of the burnt offering.
What else?
And the priest shall take of the blood thereof with his finger, and put it upon the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out all the blood thereof at the bottom of the altar. And he shall take away all the fat thereof, as the fat is taken away from off the sacrifice of peace offering. And the priest shall burn it upon the altar for a sweet savor unto the Lord. And the priest shall make an atonement for him,
and what?
It shall be forgiven him.
And it shall be forgiven him. Let's finish up the last few verses. Go ahead. 32.
And if he bring a lamb for a sin offering, he shall bring it a female without blemish.
Go ahead.
And he shall lay his hand upon the head of the sin offering, and slay it for a sin offering in the place where they kill the burnt offering. And the priest shall take of the blood and of the sin offering with his finger, and put it upon the horns of the altar of burnt offering. And he shall pour out all the blood thereof at the bottom of the altar. And he shall take away all the fat thereof, as the fat of the lamb is taken away from the sacrifice of the peace offerings. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar, according to the offerings made by fire unto the Lord. And the priest shall make an atonement for his sin that he hath committed, and it shall be forgiven him.
And so it just basically walked us through how do you handle a sin offering, depending on, if it's a congregation, if it's a rule of the house, things like that is pretty much the same. But this is given instruction on exactly how you do it. Okay, you sacrifice the animal. The high priest goes in with his 2 fingers, put the blood on the altars and stuff like that, burning the fat, just offering everything as a sweet savor unto the Lord. Okay, that's how you get it. Your sins forgiven. That's how you get atoned. That's how you make an atonement for your sins unto the Lord. That's how you did then. Obviously, we're messianic, so we don't do this part anymore. However, I want to go over exactly how it was done when we were sovereign unto ourselves, when we were in our land, when the temple was built, okay? When we had the holy tabernacle, okay? I want to point those things out. How did the ancestors do it? How did the forefathers get it done? Okay, so that's how we got it done. But we are still in Leviticus. So we're going to look at, because we're still talking about sin offering. So let's just go to the next chapter, chapter 5, okay, and picking it up at verse 1. You did a good job. It's chapter 5 and verse 1. What else we have?
And if his soul sin and hear the voice of swearing, and is a witness whether he hath seen or known of it, if he do not utter it, then he shall bear his iniquity. Okay,
if you don't tell someone, but go ahead.
Or if his soul touch any unclean thing, whether it be a carcass of an unclean beast, or a carcass of unclean cattle, or the carcass of unclean creeping things, and if it be hidden from him, he also shall be unclean and guilty.
Go ahead.
Or if he touch the uncleanness of man, whatsoever uncleanness it be, that a man shall be defiled withal, and it be hid from him, when he knoweth of it, then he shall be guilty.
What else?
Or if his soul swear, pronouncing with his hips to do evil or to do good, whatsoever it be that a man shall pronounce with an oath, and it be hid from him, when he knoweth of it, then he shall be guilty in one of these.
Okay, so one of the things, if a soul swear, you promise, you make an oath when you swear, okay? Not just saying a bad word, but when you make an oath, when you swear, I swear to God, I promise if you do this, or I tell you, on my honor, on my word, on my mama, on everything, I'm going to do this, that, okay? So making oaths haphazardly, knowing you're not going to keep them, that can be a problem, okay? That is sin. Okay, or if a soul swear, pronouncing with his lips to do evil or to do good, whatsoever it be that a man shall pronounce with an oath, and it be hid from him, when he know of it, okay, then he shall be guilty in one of these. Okay, so you're going to end up being guilty. So don't make these haphazard promises. Okay, word is bond. Okay, so we can't just make these empty promises all willy-nilly. Okay, you had to be a type of people when you were a man of your word. Okay, a lot of times things back in those days, if you guys understand, things back in those days, not everything was written down. Okay, so if you gave someone their word, if you gave someone your word, they carried that, right? They carried that and said, no, you said, or we agreed. Okay, and that's why we have a whole lot of contracts now, because people can't stick to their word. So it has to be on paper so that a third party can say, okay, well, according to this contract, you're supposed to do X, Y, Z, right? So that's why we do that now, okay? But back then, everything wasn't on. There was a few contracts here and there, okay? But everything didn't have a contract. Sometimes your word was enough, okay? Once you said, hey, I'm going to do this, I swear to you, I'm boom, 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 you do an oath, that's it. That's it, okay? So you had to make good on that oath. Go to verse 5, if you will, sir.
And it shall be when he shall be guilty in one of these things, he shall confess that he hath sinned in that thing. And he shall bring his trespass offering unto the Lord for his sin which he hath sinned, a female from the flock, a lamb or a kid of the goats, for a sin offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for him concerning his sin. And if he be not able to bring a lamb, then he shall bring for his trespass which he hath committed 2 turtle doves and 2 young pigeons unto the Lord, one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. And he shall bring them unto the priest, who shall offer that which is for the sin offering first, and wring off his head from his neck, but shall not divide it asunder.
Okay.
And he shall sprinkle of the blood of the sin offering upon the side of the altar, and the rest of the blood shall be wrung out at the bottom of the altar. It is a sin offering. And he shall offer the second for a burnt offering according to the manner. And the priest shall make an atonement for him for his sin which he hath sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. But if he be not able to bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, then he that sins shall bring for his offering the 10th part of it,
the ephah
of
fine flour,
for a sin offering. He shall put no oil upon it, neither shall he put any frankincense thereon, for it is a sin offering.
Do you guys see how the Most High keep trying to give you a chance, trying to give you opportunity? Okay, so bring this. You need to bring the 2 turtle doves. You need to bring this and that. Okay, well, if you don't have that, then bring this. Bring a 10th part of the ephah, fine flour. Don't put oil in it. You know, he's trying to give you all these different ways. You know, this is a lot of grace and long suffering. You know, he's trying to give you some escapes, trying to give you a couple of loopholes, if you will. Not really a loophole, I mean, but you know, it's a law. But I'm just saying, he's trying to give you a couple of options, okay, here and there. If you guys if you caught any of that, okay. And it said, neither shall he put any frankincense thereon, for it is a sin offering. Verse 12.
Then shall he bring it to the priest, and the priest shall take his handful of it, even a memorial thereof, and burn it on the altar, according to the offerings made by fire unto the Lord. It is a sin offering.
Last verse, 13.
And the priest shall make an atonement for him as touching his sin that he hath sinned in one of these, and it shall be forgiven him. And the remnant shall be the priest as a meat offering.
As a meat offering. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go up a chapter. Go to chapter 6. Okay, we just want a couple of verses in chapter 6, beginning at 24. Okay, we're going to go 24 to 30. Go ahead. Leviticus chapter 6, 24 to 30.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and to his sons, saying, This is the law of the sin offering. In the place where the burnt offering is killed shall the sin offering be killed before the Lord. It is most holy. And the priest that offereth it for sin shall eat it. In the holy place shall it be eaten, in the court of the tabernacle of the congregation. Whatsoever shall touch the flesh thereof shall be holy. And when there is sprinkled of the blood thereof upon any garment, thou shalt wash that whereon it was sprinkled in the holy place, with an
earthen vessel,
wherein it is sodden, shall be broken. And if it be sodden in a
basin pot,
it shall be both
scoured and rinsed in water. So you're going to wash it off, okay? If it's in an earthen pot, like a clay pot or something like that, you break it, get rid of it. But if it's in a brass pot, like a metal pot or something, you can just scrub it and rinse it off with water. In verse 29.
All meals among the priests shall eat thereof. It is most holy.
Go ahead.
And no sin offering whereof any of the blood is brought unto the tabernacle of the congregation to reconcile withal in the holy place shall be eaten and shall be burnt in the fire.
Shall be simply burnt in the fire. Okay, so we're talking about sin offerings. But as you can see, there's a lot of different offerings. Trespass offering, sin offering, there's burnt offering, there's peace offerings, There's grain offerings. There's a lot of different, offerings, but it's usually because of some transgression that has taken place. Okay, so that's really what we're dealing with here. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit more Leviticus, talking about the sin offering a little bit more over in chapter 8. Okay, Leviticus chapter 8, and I'm only want 3 verses out of Leviticus chapter 8, which would be 14 through 17. So Leviticus 8:14. Let the Bible speak.
And he brought the bullock for the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands upon the head of the bullock for the sin offering.
Mm-hmm.
And he slew it, and Moses took the blood and put it upon the horns of the altar round about with his finger, and purified the altar, and poured the blood at the bottom of the altar, and sanctified it, to make reconciliation upon it. And he took all the fat that was upon it, the inwards, and the collop before the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat, and Moses burned it upon the altar. But the bullock and his hide, his flesh, and his dung he burnt with fire without a camp, without the camp, as the Lord commanded Moses.
So without the camp is outside of the camp. He burnt all of that stuff. His hide, his flesh, dung he burnt with fire without the camp, as the Lord commanded Moses. So he went outside of the camp to burn it and dispose of the rest of it. Can't eat all these other parts, or sacrifice or offer these other parts. You had to get rid of it. So we're still in Leviticus, and we're going to be in and out of Leviticus. So far it's been all Leviticus all the time. So we're going to go chapter 16. Let's go all the way to chapter 16. Then we're going to switch gears a little bit. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit of burnt offerings. We do want to touch on that, but then I want to start turning the page and look at a few other things as far as what the Lord actually really wants. He accepted these sacrifices, but we're going to talk about what he really wants. We're going to deal with that, okay? So, Leviticus chapter 16, okay? And let's pick it up or start at verse 3. 16 and verse 3. Go ahead.
Thus shall Aaron come into the holy place with a young bullock for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering. He shall put on the holy linen coat, and he shall have the linen breeches upon his flesh. He shall be girded with a linen girdle, and with a linen mitre. Shall he be attired.
This is what he's wearing. Go ahead.
These are holy garments. Therefore shall he wash with his flesh and water, and so put them on.
He's going to take a bath, and then he's going to put those garments on that he just laid out. Go ahead.
And he shall take of the congregation of the children of Israel 2 kids of the goats for a sin offering, and 1 ram for a burnt offering.
What else?
And Aaron shall offer his bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and make an atonement for himself and for his house. Okay, for him and his house. See, look at that authority. Look, I want you to understand. Look at that authority there. I don't want to digress or anything, but look at that authority. So the priest will make an offering to atone for himself, but also for his house. Okay, for him and his house. That's going in order. That is protocol. Okay, verse 7. And he shall take the 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron shall cast lots upon the 2 goats, and 1 lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat. And Aaron shall bring the goat upon which the Lord's lot fell, and offer him for a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot fell to be the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord, to make an atonement with him, and to let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness. And Aaron shall bring the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and shall make an atonement for himself and for his house. He shall kill the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and he shall take a censer full of the burning coals of fire from off the altar before the Lord, and his hands full of sweet incense, beaten small, and bring it within the veil. And he shall put the incense upon the fire before the Lord, that the cloud of the incense may cover the mercy seat that is upon the testimony, that he died not.
So he doesn't get killed. Go ahead.
And he shall take of the blood of the bullock and sprinkle it with his finger upon the mercy seat eastward. And before the mercy seat shall he sprinkle of the blood with his finger 7 times. Then shall he kill the goat of the sin offering that is for the people, and bring his blood within the veil, and do with that blood as he did with the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it upon the mercy seat for the mercy seat. And he shall make an atonement for the holy place, because of the uncleanness of the children of Israel, and because of their transgressions and all their sins. And so shall he do for the tabernacle of the congregation that remaineth among them in the midst of their uncleanness.
So he's giving you a reason why he has to do all these things, okay? So we're still looking at trespass offerings, sin offerings, okay? We may touch a little bit on burnt offerings, and then we're going to start going in a different direction. Go ahead in verse 17. Go ahead.
And there shall be no man in the tabernacle of the congregation when he goeth in to make an atonement in the holy place, until he come out and have made an atonement for himself, and for his household, and for all the congregation of Israel. And he shall go out unto the altar that is before the Lord, and make an atonement for it. And shall take of the blood of the bullock and of the blood of the goat, and put it upon the horns of the altar round about.
What else?
And he shall sprinkle of the blood upon it with his finger 7 times, and cleanse it, and hallow it from the uncleanness of the children of Israel.
Come on.
And when he hath made an end of reconciling the holy place, and the tabernacle of the congregation, and the altar, he shall bring the live goat. And Aaron shall lay both his hands upon the head of the live goat, and confess over him all the iniquities of the children of Israel.
Confessing all the iniquities of the children of Israel. What else?
And all their transgressions and sins. Putting them upon the head of the goat, and shalt send him away by the hand of a fit man into the wilderness.
In our last verse, 22.
And the goat shall bear upon him all their iniquities unto a land not inhabited, and he shall let go the goat in the wilderness.
That's where we kind of get that term, a scapegoat or whatever. Okay, this is a substitutional like sacrifice, because if we think about it, when man sinned, okay, who should pay for that sin? Man. But the Lord made a way, he provided a way by putting it on a goat. Okay, makes sense? So there's a substitutional sacrifice element right there from the beginning. You sin, you're supposed to pay for it, but he allowed the animal to pay for it. So there's a substitution right there. So I'm going to look at any area of a burnt offering real quick, and then I'm going to change gears. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to change gears. You guys understand. There's going to be some bonus scriptures in the description box, because time won't allow us to, pull out every scripture there is. So when you look in the description box below, you're going to see some scriptures that we did not read, but I want you to get the entire picture. So if you want to start looking at burnt offerings, we're going to put that in the description box below, so you can go ahead and get that. But I do want to turn a page, and I want to look at some of the sacrifices that the Lord actually does desire, because Israel got very adept at offering these sacrifices. Okay, now, and don't get me wrong, in some areas they got sloppy too, but I'm just saying they were doing sacrifices like 24/7, just sacrifices every day, just sacrifice. So why don't we take a look and see what the Most High actually required of us? A few things, okay? Because he requires a few things of us that he likes even more than sacrifice, even though a sacrifice was supposed to be for atonement for us. Okay, so that we can get forgiveness. That's what it was. That's what it was for. Okay, and that's fine. But it was something else that he wanted us to get as well. So let's keep going. Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 5. I just want one verse out of there. Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 5 for me, if you will. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, which is after Psalms, after Proverbs, chapter 5. Okay. Because we've been talking about these sacrifices left and right. And then, like I said, they got real good at it. They were offering these sacrifices all the time. But you understand that when you offer a sacrifice, it's because you messed up in some way. Okay? So let's look at Ecclesiastes chapter 5. Just give me the first verse. That's it. Ecclesiastes 5, one verse.
Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear, than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Okay, so when you just offer a sacrifice, you don't think it's a big deal. Talking about keep your foot ready. When y'all go, be careful. That's what he's saying. He said, look, be careful. And then he said, keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God. So when you go into that tabernacle, and be more ready to hear. Understand what the Lord requires of us. Understand that. Listen to that. Okay? Than to give the sacrifice of fools. Okay? The sacrifice of fools, that it's not done right, or you just doing it haphazardly, and you want to see how much you have. Okay? How much sacrifice inventory you have to see how much you can sin.
That's a sacrifice of a fool. Okay, a sacrifice that maybe it's an unclean animal. That's an abomination. That's a sacrifice of a fool. Okay, if you don't offer what is required, if you do like Cain and just offer whatever, or if you offer what is required, if you just offer whatever you want, that's a sacrifice of a fool. So he said, just watch yourself. Be careful in that, okay? Just go back a book or two. Go to Proverbs. Go back one book, okay? Go to Proverbs, and we're going to go to chapter 3, okay? And when you get to Proverbs chapter 3, started at verse 6. We're going to get a couple of them. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 6. What does that say?
In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path.
Amen. Go ahead.
Be not wise in thine own eyes,
Mm-hmm.
fear the Lord, and depart from evil.
Mm-hmm.
It shall be held to thy navel,
Mm-hmm.
and marrow to thy bones.
What else? Verse 9.
Honor the Lord with thy substance,
Mm-hmm.
and with the first fruits of all thine increase.
Okay, so for one, that's what he wants you to do. He wants you to honor him with thy substance, okay? Honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase, okay? But it is because of him that you can make money. It is because of him that you can eat food, that you can drink, that you can pay your bills. It is because of him that you're even able to do that. So honor him with your substance. That's what these sacrifices and stuff are. So first and foremost, okay? So that's what you want to do. Okay, and we can read verse 10 to give you the reason why. Verse 10, I wasn't going to read that, but just go ahead and read verse 10.
So shall thy barns be filled with plenty,
Mm-hmm.
and thy presses shall burst out with new wine.
Okay, so give him the first of your increase. It's kind of like when Abraham gave the first tenth to Melchizedek. Sorry, the name slipped me for a second. Yeah, so when he gave to Melchizedek, he just gave the first tenth. Okay, and he requires that, so that's what we do. Okay, so that's what we should be doing. But what else we should be doing? We're still in Proverbs. Go to chapter 21. Okay, same book, chapter 21, and let's get a couple of verses there. Proverbs chapter 21. And I just want verses 2 and 3. 21 verses 2 and 3. What do you got?
Every way of a man is right in his own eyes,
Mm-hmm.
but the Lord pondereth the heart.
So he looks at the heart. You think you're right, but then he looks at the heart. And what else?
To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice.
What? We should be doing justice, judgment. To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to the Lord than do right in the first place. That's what he wants. Do right in the first place. That's more acceptable to the Lord. That's what he wants. He also says something in 1 Samuel. If you go over there with me. Go to 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel in chapter 15. Because we were going through all these sacrifices. Okay, 1 Samuel chapter 15. We're talking about all these sacrifices, burnt offerings and sin offerings, trespass offerings, talking about all that. But with all that being said, let's look at 1 Samuel chapter 15. And I just want one verse in there. Give me verse 22. Go ahead.
And Samuel said, hath the Lord is as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams.
Okay, so he said to obey is better than sacrifices, and to listen, to pay attention and listen to what he's saying is better than the fat of rams. Okay? That's what we forget. Yeah, there is a way that you can atone. There is a way for you and I to make an atonement to the Most High. There is a way through these sacrifices and things like that. But you know what he likes more? Obedience is better than sacrifice. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Meaning you don't have to go humbly up to the priest, and offer up some kind of ram. I'm talking about in context and at this time. We don't do that today, but at this time. You don't have to do that. If you obeyed in the first place, there's nothing to ask for forgiveness. Okay? For example, if I didn't break into my neighbor's house and steal his things, I don't have to ask for forgiveness for that because I didn't do it. That's what he'd rather you do. You and I. That's what he'd rather we do. Obey. All right. So let's go back on up to Psalms. Okay. Go back up to Psalm. Go up about six books or so. Go up to Psalms. And I want to get Psalms, let's go deep, 51, okay? Psalm 51. Let's take a look at this. Okay, Psalm 51, and I want to pick it up at verse 15. Psalm 51, verse 15. Okay, go ahead.
O Lord, open thou my lips.
Mm-hmm.
And my thou shalt show forth thy praise.
So first you're going to show forth praise. What else?
For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. But thou delightest not in burnt offering.
Wait a minute. He was talking about sacrifices, burnt offering, talking about all these things. And he said, well, you don't want that. Because if you wanted it, I would give it to you, is what he's saying. If you wanted that, I would give it to you. Okay? But he says, so, for thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offerings. Verse 17.
The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit,
Mm-hmm.
a broken and a contrite heart. O God, thou wilt not despise.
Wow, he liked that as a sacrifice better than burnt offerings? Are you guys getting this? Mm-hmm. It said the sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O God, thou wilt not despise. So yeah, if you have a broken spirit and a contrite heart, meaning you're humble, you're coming to him in humility. Mm-hmm. That's what he accepts as a sacrifice. Because he said God tries the heart, right? He tries the rein, he looks into the heart, he pondereth the heart. Mm-hmm. So if you're haughty and you're proud, can't tell you anything, you don't want to listen to anything, you don't want correction, you don't want instruction, you don't want anything, then he's not going to forgive you. He's not going to forgive you. He's not going to accept your, I'm sorry, forgive me. He's not going to accept that. Because your words are one thing, but then what does your heart say? What are you thinking in your mind? Is it flat out, I messed up, I sinned against thee, forgive me, O Lord? Or is it, well, I messed up, but, and if this happened, well... Were you trying to justify, making excuses, or are you just going to simply fall on your sword? The choice is yours. This is what we're talking about here. This is what we're talking about. We're still in Psalm. Go to Psalm 40. Okay? Go to chapter 40. 40. Okay? Chapter 40. I just want 2 verses out of there. Give me 5 and 6. Go ahead.
Many, O Lord my God, are thy wonderful works which thou hast done,
Mm-hmm.
and thy thoughts which are to usward.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot be reckoned up in order unto thee.
We can't count how much you have blessed us. We can't even count it. Go ahead.
If I would declare and speak of them, they are more than can be numbered.
You can't even count them. Go ahead.
Sacrifice and offering thou didst not desire. Mine ears hast thou opened.
Mm-hmm.
Burnt offering and sin offering hast thou not required.
Burnt offerings and sin offerings hast thou not required. Meaning that's not really what he wants. Because like I said in the beginning, it's because you messed up. You're offering it because you messed up. That's why he really doesn't want it. Because he's supposed to take your head off. Mm-hmm. Okay? Not the head of a goat or a bull. It's our head that's supposed to be taken off. That's like, well, you don't really require that. You really, really want us to obey. That's really what you want. And this is what he's confessing there, okay? So go up a little bit, okay, to chapter 50, Psalms 50. Go up a little bit to 50. Go up to 50, and we're going to go to starting at verse 7, okay? Verse 7. All right, we're going to go to 50 and verse 7. Go ahead.
Hear, O my people, and I will speak.
Mm-hmm.
O Israel, and I will testify against thee.
Mm.
I am God, even thy God.
Mm-hmm. That's God talking. Go ahead.
I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices or thy burnt offerings, to have been continually before me.
Yes, they have. Go ahead.
I will take no bullock out of thy house,
Mm.
nor he goats out of thy fold.
He's getting tired of these sacrifices. Go ahead.
For every beast of the forest is mine,
Mm-hmm.
and the cattle upon 1,000 hills.
It all belongs to me anyway. You guys are offering me goats and bulls and stuff. It all belongs to me anyway. Go ahead. 11.
I I know all the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine.
Yes.
If I were hungry, I would not tell thee, for the world is mine,
Mm-hmm.
and the fullness thereof.
If I was hungry, I wouldn't even tell you guys. Okay, he said if I was hungry, you know, God didn't get hungry, but he said if I was hungry, I wouldn't even tell you guys, because everything you're gonna offer me is mine anyway. Okay, that's basically what he's saying. If I were hungry, I would not tell thee, for the world is mine, and the fullness there, and everything in it. Understand? Mm-hmm. 13.
Will I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats?
No, he won't. Go ahead.
Offer unto God thanksgiving,
Mm-hmm.
and pay thy vows unto the Most High.
Whatever you promise,
Mm-hmm.
pay it. See how you got to be careful when you make a vow and an oath and stuff like that. Whatever you promise, offer unto God thanksgiving. So some praise and some gratitude, some grateful. Oh, thank you, Lord. Some of that. Okay, and pay thy vows unto the Most High. Verse 15. Go ahead.
And call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver thee,
Mm-hmm.
and thou shalt glorify me.
What?
But unto the wicked God saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes?
Now this is what he's saying to the wicked. What has to do to declare my statutes? Or
that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth.
okay, so why you talk? So you got people running around right now taking his covenant in his mouth and talking about his statutes and stuff. But what, they say bad things about it. They're like, oh, well, you ain't got to do that. Oh, well, you don't have to do none of that. Don't have to worry about that. But the Lord, that's what he said. He's saying unto the wicked, what hast thou to do to declare my statute? Well, I mean, what do you and I have to do with each other? Okay, why we even talk? Why are you talking to me? Or that thou should take my covenant in thy mouth? He's asking a question. Verse 17.
Seeing thou hatest instruction,
Mm-hmm.
and castest my words behind thee.
Exactly what they do. That's exactly what the people do right there. They don't want to hear no instruction. They don't want to hear you say nothing about you need to obey God. Or they don't want to hear that. Stiff-necked, reprobate people, they don't want to hear nothing you have to say about that. Don't talk to them about obeying God. Don't talk about that. Because they're gonna tell you about yourself. As soon as you tell someone they need to obey God, keep his law, statutes, and commandments, they don't want to hear that. That's why he's saying to the wicked, what do we have? What do I have to do with you? And he tell them why. Hey, you don't want to hear anything. You hate instruction and cast my words behind yourself. Cast thy words behind thee. You don't want to hear anything. You don't want to hear no instruction. Just stiff neck. Okay? So we did 57 through 17. Now, let's go over to Hosea, which is right after the book of Daniel. Go forward. Okay, a number of books. Go forward about 7, 8 books, something like that. And we're going to go to Hosea. And I just want a couple of verses in Hosea. Okay? Okay, when you get to Hosea, do me a favor. Give me the first 3 verses real quick. Chapter 6. I'm sorry. Hosea chapter 6. Got to give you the whole picture. Hosea chapter 6, starting at verse 1. Go ahead.
Come, and let us return it unto the Lord, for he hath torn, and he will heal us.
What else?
He hath smitten, and he will
bind us up. Okay, so look at the things they did. Let's return unto the Lord, for he has torn. I mean, he's torn us, gave us a real good beating, and he will heal us. He'll do that as well. He has smitten us and strucken us, and he will bind us up. Okay, verse 2. Go ahead.
After 2 days will he revive us.
Mm-hmm.
In the 3rd day he will raise us up.
Mm-hmm.
And we shall live in his sight.
What else?
And then shall we know, if we follow on to know the Lord.
Mm-hmm. Do we keep going in his ways? Go ahead.
His going forth is prepared as the morning, and he shall come unto us as the rain, as the lead for and former rain unto the earth.
Drop to verse 6.
For I desired mercy and not sacrifice.
Read that again. What?
For I desired mercy and not sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And the knowledge of God more than burnt offering.
Go ahead.
But they like men have transgressed the covenant.
Mm-hmm.
There have they dealt treacherously against me.
But there have they dealt treacherously against me. Do me a huge favor, brother, and read 6 and 7 one more time. Go ahead.
For I desired mercy and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of God more than burnt offering. But they, like men, have transgressed the covenant. There have they dealt treacherously against me.
And they have dealt treacherously against me. Are we getting it? Okay. So let's go. Let's keep going. We're going to go to Jonah. Go up another about 4 books or so forward. I just want to get a little verse out of Jonah. Just a couple of verses. It's going to be in chapter 2. It's going to be in chapter 2, okay? And when you get to Jonah chapter 2, I want you to start at verse 5. And I just want to get a couple of those. Verse 5. We're going to do 5 through 9. Go ahead.
The waters compassed me about,
Mm-hmm.
even to the soul. The depth closed me round about. The weeds were wrapped about my head.
Mm-hmm.
I went down to the bottoms of the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
The earth with her bars was about me forever.
All around me forever. Go ahead.
Yet hast thou brought up my life from corruption.
Go ahead.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
When my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and my prayer came in unto thee,
Mm-hmm.
into thine holy temple.
What else?
And they that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy.
Yep.
But I will sacrifice unto thee with a voice of thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
I will pay that I have vowed.
I will pay. Oh, that I have vowed. Well, what about keeping your word to him? We just read that in Psalms. Go ahead. I will pay that I have vowed. What?
Salvation is the Lord.
Salvation is of the Lord. Okay, so he did that. He keep his word. You do that. Give him the thanksgiving of your lips. Keep your vow, and he will deliver thee. Oh, you don't believe me? Go ahead and read verse 10. I wasn't going to do that, but go ahead. So if Jonah did those things, what does it say in verse 10? And then what?
And the Lord spake unto the fish, and it vomited out Jonah upon the dry land.
Oh, okay. So he did deliver him, didn't he? He said, I'm going to keep my vow. He gives the Lord his thanksgiving, praises from his lips. And lo and behold, boop, the Lord delivered him out of the belly of the great fish. Okay? That's just an example. That's just an example. He said he was going to do it, and that's what he had done. All right? We got a last couple of places real quick. Go to Jeremiah. Before we begin to close it out, go to Jeremiah, if you will. Go to Jeremiah. When you get to Jeremiah, chapter 7. Go chapter 7 in Jeremiah. Chapter 7 in Jeremiah. And I only want a couple of verses there, starting at verse 22. Jeremiah 7:22.
For I spake not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt, concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices.
Concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices, what happened?
But this thing commanded I them, saying, Obey my voice, and I will be your God, and ye shall be my people, and walk ye in all the ways that I have commanded you, that he may be well unto you.
See, I don't really want offerings and sacrifices. I don't really want that. However, obey my voice, walk in my statutes, and it'll be well with thee. Verse 24.
But they hearkened not, nor inclined their ear, but walked in the counsels and in the imagination of their evil heart, and went backward and not forward.
And went backward, not forward. 25.
Since the day that your fathers came forth out of the land of Egypt unto this day.
And unto this day. Go ahead.
I have even sent unto you all my servants, the prophets, daily rising up early and sending them. Yet they hearkened not unto me, nor inclined their ear, but hardened their neck. They did worse than their fathers.
They did worse. Okay, that's all I need for that one. That's all I need for that one. Okay, we're gonna go to Isaiah now. That's all I need. We're gonna go to our last place, which will be Isaiah. Okay, let's go to the book of Isaiah. Okay, let's go to the book of Isaiah. You found it faster than I did. Book of Isaiah, which is back one book. And the good news is we're going to go to chapter 1. Okay, this is going to be the last place we go to pretty much. Okay, talking about all these sacrifices. And I can tell you right now what the Most High wants us to do is to obey him, execute judgment, plead the cause of the widow and the fatherless, help one another. In other words, love one another as the brethren. Okay, help each other. Okay, correct each other, counsel each other. There's a lot of things he wants us to do, way more than he wants offering and sacrifices. Okay, these are the things we have to remember. We're going to start in verse 1. Okay, we're going to start at verse 1. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 1. Let the Bible speak.
The vision of Isaiah, the son of
Amos,
which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah,
Jotham, Jotham, Ahaz,
and Hezekiah, kings of Judah.
Mm-hmm.
Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth. For the Lord hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. And the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass in his master's crib.
Yep.
But Israel doth not know. My people doth not consider.
My people does not consider. Israel today does not consider. They don't think about it. Go ahead.
Sinful nation, a people laden with
Iniquity.
A seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward. Why should you be stricken any more? Ye will revolt more and more. And the whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint.
Yeah, we're all corrupted. Go ahead.
From the sole of the foot even unto the head, there is no soundness in it.
That's us. Go ahead.
But wounds and bruises and
putrefying sores.
They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment.
Not healed. Go ahead.
Your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. And strangers devour it in your presence.
Then it's happening right now. Go ahead.
And it is desolate, as overthrown by strangers.
What else?
And the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, and as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Except the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant. We should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah.
So it's like we're Sodom and Gomorrah, utterly destroyed, utterly wasted, utterly desolate. Verse 10.
Hear the word of the Lord, ye rulers of Sodom. Give ear unto the Lord, unto the law of our God, ye people of Gomorrah.
What else?
To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me? Saith the Lord, I am full of the burnt offerings of rams, and the fat of fed beasts, and I delight not in the blood of bullocks, or of lambs, or of he goats. When ye come to appear before me, who hath required this at your hand, to tread my courts?
What else?
Bring no more vain oblations.
This is an offering. Bring no more vain oblations.
And incense as an abomination unto me. The new moons and Sabbaths, and the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with.
I can't stand that anymore. Go ahead.
It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting.
Go ahead.
Your new moons and your appointed feasts, my soul hated. They are a trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them.
I'm tired of putting up with it. Go ahead.
When ye spread forth
on your hands,
I will hide mine eyes from you. Yea, when ye make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. Wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do evil.
Look at the things that he wants us to do. Cease to do evil. Cleanse yourself. Start walking right. Get on the path. Keep my law, statutes, and commandments. Stop messing up. I don't really want all your oblations and your sacrifices, your solemn feasts, and you throwing up your hands but don't want to listen to anything that I have to say. You pretending to be holy and you don't want to hear anything that I have to say. You don't want instruction. You don't want correction. You don't want rebuke. You want to do after the evil imaginations. You want to do after your own evil imaginations. That's what you want. You don't want to hear anything that I have to say. You don't want correction. You don't want instruction. You don't want anything. And I'm getting tired of it. 16, wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before my eyes. Cease to do evil. Verse 17.
Learn to do well. Seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow.
Go ahead.
Come now and let us reason together, saith the Lord. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If ye be willing to,
if you be willing and obedient,
ye shall eat the good of the land.
If you're willing and obedient, what else?
But if ye refuse and rebel, ye shall be devoured with the sword. For the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it.
That's all we need. That's all we need. Telling us clear instructions. If you cease to do evil, if you do what's right in my sight, if you do what I'm telling you to do, you'll be okay. But if you rebel and get a stiff neck and you want to hear it, then you'll be devoured. Then you'll be devoured. So these are the sacrifices that he really wants. We can talk about peace offerings, grain offerings, trespass offerings, sin offerings. We can talk about that all day long. But then we also need to talk about what he really wants. And he wants our obedience to his law, to walk in his ways. That's what he wants. That's what he desires above sacrifice. That's what he desires. The question is, are we listening? Because he certainly said it. It's right here before us. It's right here in front of us. The question is, are we going to listen to that? Or are we going to just simply pay lip service? Now, this has been sacrifices and offerings unto the Lord. I hope someone has been edified by this Tanakh only lesson. Join us next time. But until next time, search the scriptures and prove all things. Shalom, Israel.